Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Monday's Lunch and Learn. My name is Will Pedersen. I run our customer org here. I don't have any pre-submitted questions for today. So if you have any questions, please drop them in Q&A, drop them in the chat, or just use the raise hand feature in Zoom webinar as always. And we will get everyone's questions answered. All right, David, you're up, sir. What you got?
Is there a way to use a flow to create a scheduled or a startup job rather than going through the UI to do it?
Like you want to run a flow to create a scheduled job?
Yeah.
Do you already have the scheduled job on another server?
Negative. I want to create it from scratch.
Well, I'd probably, but I don't know how easy it will be.
Yeah, so I had kind of looked into it a little bit on Friday. And in internal services, I think there are some things for either an add or save a scheduled job, but when I pull that step over and try to give it the right properties, I'm hitting a thing where it says something is undefined. So I guess I'm wondering what that is and if there may be a way to create that definition. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's doing.
This is the step you're using?
Yeah, I tried that one, and I think there's another one called save. I tried a couple of them.
Sorry, I'm gonna send a sad face to my friends on the product team for this wonderful dialogue.
I mean, it's functional, so.
Schedule item data.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where.
And then that's probably build data, right?
Yeah, I think I'd
Oh,
set
that's
that
an
to.
array. Oh, good Lord. Constant. Oh, that's byte. Oh, that's a list of byte. So schedule item data.
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of weird. Like I did this and I set one up through the UI to see kind of to have something to compare to. Then I went and looked at the tables, and it's almost like it's storing it as a list of bytes like that.
Yeah, it's got, I think if we look at, not that I have any, but let's duplicate and see. I think it's saving it it's like saving it as a serialized blob of some sort.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Other, and then we'd look for what jobs, not jobs. Is it job schedule?
I think
Yeah, I
it's
think it's job.
schedule. Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Yeah, job schedule. Schedule item data. Yeah, this is probably all of the scheduling stuff.
Yeah.
And there's not like a flow ID to call. Probably yes, but I don't even see. I've never done it.
Yeah, there was another thing. I forget what property it was, but I had added it there, and I checked it, and it almost came up with it's almost like a scheduled job editor. I forget what property I checked to do that. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Schedule item data. What is schedule item data? Let's see. Where was we at? J. Where the heck? Where's my stuff at? Aren't I internal services? Job schedule service? Am I going crazy?
Yeah.
Oh, scheduled job service. Sorry. I am going crazy. Scheduled scheduling service. if I return one, what does it give me back? A date time. Find all days. So that's not in there. Get by ID gives me a job schedule. So let's see. If I look at get by ID and I look at data explorer, get by ID gives me schedule item data is bytes. Yeah. How do we build a schedule item data? Is that something that shows up in a fetchity step?
Oh, I guess in that add job, I think there was a property, I think it's called job schedule. Did we
It's
add
not
that?
in fetchity step. Schedule item data. Is it in add? I have honestly, David, I have no clue. I am unsure. This is probably take some time to sort out. What's the need though? Like, why would you need to dynamically create a scheduled job?
Yeah, so I'm kind of going down this rabbit hole of trying to automate some of the installation of decisions in our clients, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
decisions installer does what it does just fine. But I mean, I'm sure we have several custom modules that we import. So trying to get a flow to grab those custom modules out of the inertia exe directory where the client gets them in the build, drop them into the decisions custom modules folder, restart the service host manager, and then install them, right? So I was thinking, well, I need a flow or some way to basically survive the SHM restart. And I thought, well, if I can in a flow create a startup job, then the next time it starts up, it'll just do a check and say, are these installed? And if they're not, then go ahead and use the install module step to install them, right? So I was
Well,
wanting to do it kind of automatically in a flow instead of having to go
but yeah,
remember.
but I don't think you have to build the flow. You can import scheduled jobs, right? You can actually send
Oh,
scheduled jobs. So you could import a scheduled job, and that scheduled theoretically, that scheduled job, if I add one, is run job on startup. True, right?
and you can designate this as part of a project and import it with a.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost certain you can. I'm gonna pick a flow. There you go. Yep, and then calendars, time span every whatever. Sure, looks great. And then I should be able to, yeah, export add to project or add to project. So this could be in the module and then get deployed, and then
Okay.
then it should run on the next restart. So if it could check to see, it looks for something to see if it's the first time it's setting things up, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. There's probably ways to do this directly in the SDK more gracefully, but I think like it would just looks at some property, right? You have it run
Yeah,
once per day, and if the property says I've already ran, it just does nothing. So there's
exactly.
effectively no overhead.
Right. Oh, God, I can't believe it was that easy. I'm such an idiot.
So
Okay.
I think this would work, I think you could confirm. Yeah, I think you could confirm pretty quickly. But this is I would go down this route. Some of those
Okay.
interfaces we don't expose. I'm sure deep in the belly of it somewhere we could figure out a way to be real clever and do it, but not sure that'd be worth the effort.
Well, that's awesome. Now I don't have to go about the hard way of doing that. Okay.
Oh, look at this. There's a startup job option here that says run once.
Yeah, and I was
Interesting.
curious about that too, like looking into some of these things like those internal steps
Hmm?
and What's the difference here between a startup job and a scheduled job? Because the schedule, there's also an option to run it startup, and they're actually stored in different tables, I think. So I guess I'm curious, is this just to run a flow and the schedule gives you more options to?
Yeah, I bet honestly, probably the way I would see this is we'd never remove the run at startup property from our scheduled job object, and realized based on some customer request, they wanted a single run job that ran on startup, right, or something. And so we added this other thing,
I got
but we didn't we didn't make there a clear like when to use one versus the other kind of thing. But if this might make, run only on job server interesting, and then run once. This gives you some more flexibility here. Customers might use stuff like this to like prime like a cache of something on startup, make a bunch of calls to external systems and fill the cache up. That's like an example of something customers might use this for.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so I would try either of these approaches, but you can definitely have it import with part of the project and then run on startup. Okay. And if not, then there's some issue that we can get fixed for you that should allow that, almost certainly.
Okay, yeah, I'll go down that path. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, man. Happy to help. All right, so here we go. We got a question in the chat from Vineet. I have a create folder and a subfolder to keep text files in it. The need to replace or append the tokens in these files based on each client confirmation. After that, I need to bundle all the folders and subfolders into a single zip folder. Hey, Vineet. Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you, Will?
Great. So you're building folders and decisions to put text files into, like actual decisions folders, like in the folder tree?
Yes, so this is what the requirement I have. And I need to keep these, excuse me, these files, the txt file, which having some details inside of it. And I need to replace the token inside of this file based on the client data. This file will be, for every customer, this file will be same, but only the token data replacement for each client will be different. And then I need to use this file and the folders which is there, the same directory. I need to bundle it into a zip file.
Okay.
So initially I will have one folder. Inside of that we will have two folders, and these two folders will contain some files.
Okay.
And after doing a modification, I need to create a same structure and bundle it into the zip file.
Right. Okay. So you need to know. Okay. So are you clear on how to do the zip process already?
No, I'm very new to this decision. I don't know how to create a folder, what kind of folder I need to create.
Yeah, I don't think you would use folder creation in decisions for this particular activity. But let's just walk through a couple things. So you can, if you're in your toolbox and you're searching for zip, you can get zip files. So you can zip files, and that you pass in a list of file data and give it the zip file name, and you'll get a zip file out, right? So you have zip and you have unzip that can help you unzip and zip your files. You have, I don't know what your tokens are, but there are steps to do token replacement. So you can replace tokens in text. Actually, you wouldn't use that one. Replace text is probably better. Replace text can, you replace, you pass your text file text into source, your replace character, and then your token. Now, one of the things you'd have to do too, though, is if you have a text file, you need to probably, there's probably a lot here. If you're just, you want to get bytes from string, or string from bytes, excuse me, get string from bytes. So let's do a really simple example here. I'm going to load a file. So I'm going to find load, and I'm going to find my load file step here. And then this, I'm going to give a path to a file on my file system, right? So I'm going to say program files / decisions. I'm going to find a file here. And I'm just going to create a text file, yada, 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 C. Oh, good Lord. C, program files, decisions. And I'll put a new, oh, good Lord. Let me just do it in program files. Can I put it here? Desktop, add a new. Okay, this is silly. New text file. Okay. I think I'm sharing my whole screen. So I'm going to add a new text file here. Let's rename this to test.txt. And in this, I'll open this with Notepad. Plus, and I'll say is hello. I'll say $world. I'll save this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put path to that file in the load file step. So I can load it off the file system. And I close that. Where did I put that at? C, HL7 inbound, test.txt. Oops. Test.txt. And let me make sure that that runs. Okay, so here is my test.txt file coming out. What I can then do is find this get string from bytes step. Now this is going to return me a file object. I'm going to pass the bytes of that file under load the contents here. So to load file output from contents into get string from bytes. And then if I do that, and in the debugger, I look at input and output data, I can see hello $world. And then I can pass that into replace text here. And I'm going to replace $ with the word new. So to replace is $. And the source is going to be my get string from bytes output. And then what I can do is run a create file step to replace it. Create text file. Create text file. Let's do it that way. I don't want to have to turn string to bytes again. All right, so create text file here. The data is the string, and that will be the replace text output. And the file name would be the same as my load file step here. All right, now if I run this, okay, replace text should have hello new world. And if I look at test.txt, it says hello new world. So just pause for a moment. So that's how showing us loading a file off the file system. Now there's steps to list items in directories and do all sorts of other stuff if you need to get more clever than that. Convert that file from bytes to a string. Interact with the string by replacing text. You could chain as many of these together as you needed to update different tokens with different values. And then taking that and updating the text file that we had edited here. We have all sorts of directory steps, list files in directory, delete directory, create directory.
So can we create this directory and keep the file inside of it? So basically, an output also, we wanted to have a zipping step of that directory which contains a file or subfolders in that and having a file.
I'm sorry, ask that question again for me, please.
Yeah, like in the input, the start step, after that, I wanted to load a. So can I keep some folders in the decision where we can keep the files in that? The folders can have subfolders and that will keep these template files.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have, you could create, so here's our, I'll add a normal folder here called templates, right?
Yes.
Now in this templates folder, we can add documents. Now I can just do it here as a single one, right? This is template 1, right? I'll choose some sample document, a picture, right?
No. I wanted to go with the TXT file only because I need to
I
edit that.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be, I'm just selecting an image, but like, yes, you can put documents into a folder. And then in your flow, if I come, this is gonna get, let me create a new flow here. What I would do is I wanna fetch, you gotta pass, yeah. I'm gonna get I can use a fetch entity step and I can get a document. And then one of the things on the fetch entity step is I can say for a parent folder here, and I'll make this constant. I'm gonna pick my templates folder. If I do that, it should run. And if I look at my output data, I should get my template 1 file here, which is happens to be PNG, but it could be a text file. Now you're basically off to the races, right? Where you were, the one thing you have to do extra here, because it's a document, is integration, internal services, document service, get data. Josh has got a question. No different, Josh, on a hosted service. You can add files to the file system and muck around with the file system as needed. Yeah, just as a note, get document data here. Right. So I'm gonna pass my, oops, that's not what I wanted to click. And then I'm gonna map in my document ID, which is entity results first document ID. If I run that, now it has the actual file data, that document. And you could approach it in the same kind of way. You'd have to get string from bytes, replace text, and then you could do an update document step. There's those in the document service. There's like a update document. You might update that document, or you might just do add document to some other location. There's an add document step here. It takes in the data in the folder ID. So you could have other folders in, you have templates, and then you could also have customer folders where you deposit these documents into. So you'd have to have logic that could fetch all the documents in a list and then send those to a zip file to send, to attach to an email or send wherever you might need those to. So does that give you some information?
Yes, Will. So can you show me the step of the zipping of that? We have that output folder where we have some all modified files, and I wanted to make a zip out of that.
Yeah, a zip file?
Yes, I wanted to make a zip of that folders and file into one zip folder.
Yeah, sure. So you just find your zip step, right? Your zip step, if you look at it, it's going to take in a file. It tells you it's going to take a list of file data, right? And so what I'm going to do here is so I'm going to come back into this flow and I'm going to search for byte again. And I'm going to say get bytes from string. Oops. And then I'm going to pass in that string from my replace text. And I'm going to pass that file to zip files here. Files to include, I'll say build array. I only have one, and I'm going to select not my load file, excuse me. I need to say, I'll have to do build data, excuse me. And on contents, gets byte from strings, that's right. And I'll have to give it a new file name, which is new file.txt. And then you see, this is just going to give me a zip file. This is my new zip.zip. And then again, when we were seeing before, we could pass that to an add document step. So I could come here, integration, internal services, document service. If I want to use documents for this, I can find add document. I'll drop that over here. And now file data, will come from my zip file step. What's wrong with this? No mapping set for name. Well, that's not true. There it goes. My file data will be my zip file, which is zip file. Oh, it only wants the content. That's really? Wait. What's wrong here? Title description. Oh, sorry. This is build data. Excuse me. So file is zip file, and title will be the name of my zip file. And folder ID, I'm just going to say is, I'll just deposit this somewhere. I'll create another folder here called output. And then what I'm going to do is steal the folder ID from output. Right, and drop it in here and run. That should run, and I should have my new zip.zip here in output. So again, I'm just doing this. I'm loading files, changing the bytes to strings, updating text. You can ignore create data here. Turning that updated text file from a string back to a byte array, building up a zip from that, turning that zip into a document, and then you get that here. So something similar to that. This is, of course, very static. All of these things can be very dynamic as needed.
Yes, Will. So Will, can you give me this sample things? And is it I'm able to, because I'm using a decision version 6. So will I able to import that in 6?
Yeah. I don't know if I mean, I can give you this, sure. It probably will import. But really, yeah, you probably want to try to build these things yourself. In fact, I don't think it will import. So this is what I would say is we'll give you, we post these videos on YouTube, should be up there short, sometime this afternoon, I think. And then, but I will export this for you, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it will import.
Ask my email ID also. If you can give it to me, it will be helpful for me.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff there. Export. In fact, I'm just going to drop it into the chat here for you if you want to grab it out of the Zoom chat really quick. There you go. Create file stuff. You see it in there, Vineet?
Yes, it is there. I'm downloading it.
Okay.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, thanks a
It
lot.
may not import, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But
so, okay.
yeah. No, please go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
For this. Thanks a lot, Will.
All right, you bet. Happy to help. All right. Anybody else got any questions for us today? Josh, you have any other questions about that file manipulation stuff I walked through? All right. Anybody else have any questions today? Okay, I think that's everything for today. All right, thanks for the questions, everybody. And I won't be in tomorrow. I think we're still working to figure out who's going to be hosting tomorrow. So appreciate the
Morgan.
time. Morgan is great. Awesome. So Morgan will be here tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.